Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Walson. I never thought a single sentence could cut to me like a blade. But when she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Stop acting like we're married," you don't get saying where I go or who I see. Something inside me cracked. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, like a door closing slowly but completely, leaving me standing on the other side of something I once thought was unbreakable. For months, I had convinced myself that things between us were real. Not just casual, not just temporary. Real. I was the one who stayed up late waiting for her texts, memorizing her routines, learning how she took her coffee, what songs made her smile, what made her cry. I built my world around her without ever realizing she was living in a completely different one. I still remember the night everything shifted. It was a Friday evening, the kind of night that makes the city hum with energy. I had planned a simple dinner, nothing extravagant, just something warm, quiet, and meaningful. I'd cooked her favorite meal, set the table with candles, even poured the wine we'd saved from that weekend trip months ago. I wanted to talk. I wanted to finally define what we were, or at least understand where this was going. But when she walked in, it wasn't the same woman who used to lean into my chest and whisper that she felt safe with me. She was distant, distracted, scrolling through her phone with a half smile I hadn't seen in a long time. One that wasn't meant for me. "Hey," I said softly, trying to keep my voice steady. She barely looked up. "Hey, sorry, I'm running late. I have plans after this." The words "after this" burned quietly in the back of my throat. After this? I had imagined the evening ending with laughter, maybe even us falling asleep on the couch together. But in that moment, it hit me. She hadn't even considered staying. Still, I tried to keep it together. I asked her to sit, tried to make her comfortable, to remind her of us, whatever us was. But I could feel the wall between us growing thicker with every second. "Where are you going?" I asked, maybe too gently. She looked at me then, not with softness, not with affection, but with the kind of coldness that only comes when someone has already made up their mind. "Out," she said flatly. I forced a small laugh, hoping to break the tension. "Out where?" That's when her tone shifted. It wasn't just careless anymore. It was sharp, defensive. "Why do you care so much? We're not married. You don't get to tell me what to do or who to see." The words hit like a sudden downpour, cold and relentless. I felt the ground tilt beneath me, not because of what she said, but because of how easily she said it, as if all those nights we'd spent together, all those whispered promises, all those unspoken dreams had meant nothing to her. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. What could I even say? That I loved her? That I thought we were building something real? She didn't want that. She wanted freedom. She wanted a life where I was just an option, not a priority. She grabbed her bag, slid her phone into her pocket, and walked toward the door without looking back. The sound of the latch clicking shut behind her echoed louder than anything I'd ever heard. And I stood there, staring at the table I'd set for two, realizing it was only ever meant for one. What stung the most wasn't just her words. It was the clarity they brought. I had given her everything I had, and she didn't even think she owed me an explanation. That night, as the candles burned down to nothing and the wine turned stale in untouched glasses, I finally saw the truth I'd been too blind to face. I don't remember how long I stood there after she left. Maybe minutes. Maybe hours. Time felt heavy, like it no longer wanted to move. The room still smelled like the food I had cooked for her. Warm spices, melted butter, and the faint scent of candles. But everything that had once felt comforting now just felt hollow. I sank into the chair across from the untouched plate she'd left behind. Her wine glass was still full, the flame from the last candle flickering weakly. It was strange how silence could be louder than any argument. I could almost hear my heart pounding, not out of anger but out of quiet disbelief. I kept replaying her voice in my head. "Stop acting like we're married. You don't get a say in where I go or who I see." I thought we shared something real. I thought love was about two people choosing each other again and again, even when things got messy. But to her, this wasn't love. It was convenience. Temporary. Something she could step out of whenever she felt like it. The worst part? She wasn't wrong. She didn't owe me anything. Not officially, not legally. We weren't married. I didn't have any right to question her. But love isn't about contracts or signatures. It's about the trust two people build. And the trust one gave her so freely, she had already let go of long before that night. As the hours passed, reality began to sink in like a tide, pulling me deeper. I had ignored the signs, the unanswered calls, the late replies, the distant stares. I kept convincing myself it was stress, work, or just a phase. But deep down, I knew a person who wants to stay doesn't keep their heart locked away. By the time the night turned into early morning, the candles had died out completely. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside, letting the cold air hit my face. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Every sound of the wind felt like it was carving her words into me over and over again. I walked through the empty streets, retracing places where we'd once laughed together. The park bench where she had leaned on my shoulder during the first snowfall. The corner cafe where we'd shared too many late-night coffees. I used to believe those moments meant something to her too. But maybe for her, they were just passing chapters. I found myself standing in front of her apartment building without even realizing how I'd gotten there. The lights in her window were off. She was probably asleep or with someone else. The thought hurt more than I wanted to admit. I didn't knock. I didn't call. I just stood there, letting the truth settle like frost on my skin. Somewhere between love and denial, I had lost myself. I had started living my life around someone who never promised me forever, and I had built a future with someone who only ever planned for present. When I finally returned home, the table was still set the way I had left it. 2 plates, 2 glasses, 2 candles, but there had only ever been one heart truly invested. I slowly cleared everything away. It wasn't just a table I was cleaning. It was the last trace of the illusion I had been holding on to. For the first time, I wasn't angry at her. I was angry at myself for expecting loyalty from someone who never promised it. The next few weeks were a blur of quiet nights and empty days. People talk about heartbreak like it's loud and dramatic, but the truth is, it's mostly silent. It's in the small things. The way your chest aches when your phone doesn't light up with their name anymore. The way songs suddenly feel heavier. The way every familiar place turns into a reminder of what's gone. She never reached out again. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. And strangely, that silence gave me the answers I'd been too afraid to face. She had moved on long before I even realized she was leaving. And slowly, so did I. I started doing things for myself again. I learned to enjoy the quiet. Not the painful, suffocating kind, but the kind that slowly teaches you how to breathe again. I spent time with friends I'd pushed away, visited places that didn't hold her shadow, and relearned the difference between love and attachment. One day, I passed by that same cafe where we used to sit. I walked in alone this time. No expectations. No weight in my chest. Just me. I ordered the same coffee I used to get when she was with me. And for the first time, it didn't sting. It felt freeing. I realized something important that day. You can't make someone choose you. No matter how much love you pour into a person, it won't change their heart if they've already chosen a different path. And sometimes the most painful truth is the one that sets you free. I had loved her with everything I had. And maybe, for a moment, she loved me too. But love isn't always meant to last forever. Sometimes, it's just a chapter, a hard, beautiful, unforgettable chapter that teaches you who you are when everything falls apart. Now, when I think back to that night and those words she said so easily, I don't feel broken anymore. I just feel wiser, stronger, like a part of me finally came back home. She taught me what it means to love someone who isn't ready to be loved the way you love them. And in losing her, I found myself again.